Hey guys, I thought I would jump on real quick. I was chatting with another member and I haven't talked about this in a while. So I thought it would be good to share and helpful for more than just one person to hear this kind of tip that I know has helped many women in the past. And it's definitely something that I used when I first started to try and get control of the cravings. And that is that when you, whether it's sugar that you're struggling with right now, or maybe foods that aren't on plan, maybe you're just getting started and so you still eat a lot of packaged processed food, whatever the case may be. Sometimes people do really well with, ripping off the Band-Aid. There's two schools of thought, right? There's this school of thought that is rip off the Band-Aid, go all in, have nothing off plan for at least 21 days. And once you get through that 21-day period, you'll crave it less. However, there's a huge mental hurdle to do that, to go that route. And so you have to be in a moment where you have a really very present, very front of mind reality, bigger why, to be able to really pull that gear into focusing on ripping off that Band-Aid and being 100% on plan overnight, right? So that's really hard for many people, most people to do. It's very hard for most people to rip off the Band-Aid, go all in, be 100% on a plan, and then carry that out consistently for 21 days. Now, the reason that is suggested a lot of times is because when you get past that 3-4 week mark, then you might find that you are able to add certain things back in without having kind of the obsession craving. Because remember, sugar or packaged processed food, it ends up being nearly the same in our body. Anything that's highly packaged, processed, is going to be fast digesting. And when it's fast digesting, it turns into blood sugar very fast, spikes our blood sugar, which then causes our body to release the insulin. But then it also, when we're at that high and we're at that spike, it increases all these temporary feel-good hormones. So literally, carbs, sugar, or fast digest, not all carbs are bad. We need carbs. We need a good balance of foods in order to optimize health for long term and all the kind of things, right? However, sugared, processed foods, packaged food, those kinds of things, they break down so fast that it creates that spike in blood sugar. And by creating that spike in blood sugar, it releases these temporary feel-good hormones. And those temporary feel-good hormones crash just as fast, because what's happening is when your blood sugar shoots up really fast, insulin comes in, moves it on because it can't sit in your bloodstream, right? That's like diabetics that are run really, really high and they have major complications, right? In that, a diabetic episode. So the goal is your body's trying to stabilize your blood sugar, so it takes the insulin and it moves the blood sugar on. And that's where it goes to one of two places for basic purposes. Either it goes into muscle energy or it goes onto body fat. Anything that's an excess of the very shallow reservoir for muscle energy, it gets moved on to body fat. And some things process faster than others. Sugar, processed carbs, fast digesting carbs, they process really fast, shoot that blood sugar up. So the idea being behind the rip off the Band-Aid, follow everything 100%, is that when you do that, one, obviously you're going to see progress faster because you're going from 0 to 100, right? So you are going to see results quickly. But the flip side of that is that if you are able to mentally flip that switch mentally, then at the end of that 21 days or 30 days, whatever the case may be, then you're able to maybe have some of those things, not that they're good for overall health, but you're able to maybe have them in moderation or have them as a treat without feeling like you're going to binge for the next 3 days type thing. Having said that, that is not for everybody. That method does not work for everybody, and that is not right or wrong. That is okay. It is normal. When I first started out, something innately told me to defer the desire, right? This was over 18 years ago, and now I've used it as a tip for coaching however many other women, and most women do better under this protocol, and that is that, one, you have to understand the concept of when you tell yourself you can't have something, it is human nature to want it even more and almost get fixated on it and want to dive into it, right? So it's catching the thoughts of you have this craving, whether it be sugar or the processed carb or the processed foods or the junk food or the chips or whatever it is for you. Instead of telling yourself you can't have that, catch the words, change them to I could choose to have that, However, it doesn't align with my goals right now, so I'm going to choose not to have it right now. And allow yourself to defer the desire, defer the craving to maybe it's Saturday, maybe it's Sunday, whatever day you want it to be, so that throughout the week you have all these thoughts, whether it be the packaged food, the processed food, the sugar, whatever the case may be. You have these thoughts of what you want and you defer it and tell yourself, I can choose to have that if I want to, but I'm working really hard and this is really important to me. So if I still want it on Saturday, then I'm going to have it. What happens is, and it was true for me and it's been true for hundreds of women that I've coached since then, is that by the time you get to Saturday, most of the cravings that you thought you really, really wanted are gone. And or you think about how much effort you've put into the week, you're in a more mental controlled position. And so then you are able on Saturday to decide like, yeah, you know what? I think I do want X, Y, and Z as a treat. I would encourage you to not look at food as a reward system. I don't believe that is a healthy way of looking at food at any given point in time. So it's not that on Saturday you've worked really hard and now you're going to reward yourself, right? Because that's really not like, it's not that sugar or a packaged food or processed food or pizza or ice cream or whatever it is that you like. It's not like that's the end of the world if you choose to have it, but it doesn't align with optimal health in any, like all things in moderation, but sugar is sugar. Sugar feeds disease. Like there's so understand that knowledge that you don't want to look at that as a reward. I know a lot of us grew up with food as being our reward system, but one of the keys to being able to make this lifestyle change is to change that thought process that food is not the reward system. But if you want to enjoy like what you would consider to be a treat or what you would consider to be off plan on that Saturday, if you still want to enjoy it when you get to that Saturday, then go for it and don't allow yourself to feel guilty for it. And this goes back to the other video about cheat meals, but I'll add it here too. I would caution you to be careful and start to become mindful of what your triggers might be, because a trigger food is going to be different for every person. But a trigger food might be something that you do want to defer for a longer period of time, whether it be the 21 or the 30 days, so that you can regain better emotional stability, mental control before you try to incorporate that back. Because a trigger food is something that, like you can't just have one scoop of peanut butter. You're going to go down the whole jar, right? Or you can't just have the one cookie because then you're going to want to have the whole bag. Reality is you're in complete control, but mentally it's incredibly hard. You're going to have to battle it out to keep it to that one. And you'll find that there are some foods, and this just comes back to doing the hard mental work and becoming a student of your own thoughts and mental process and feelings that are driving your thoughts, becoming an observer, learning and adjusting according to your goals. Because you'll find that, like for me, as an example, just because it's a friend of mine, I can choose to have ice cream in moderation and not feel like I'm craving it for the next 3 days. Now, at this point, that ice cream is, dairy-free, gluten-free, all the things, just because I also know, again, changing the way I think about things over time, I could go have dairy. I could have frozen yogurt. It's not that I don't ever have that anymore, but I know that when I choose to do that, my stomach is going to be wrecked. It's going to feel horrible. And so 9.5 times out of 10, that is not worth it to me, because I can focus on how I'm going to feel afterwards, and it's not worth it to me. The ice cream, though, I can, like dairy-free, gluten-free, I can have that and have it in moderation and be like, okay, there's my treat and I'm done, right? If I were to have regular sugar, like M&Ms or something like that, I'm going to spend the next 3 days battling it out not to go get more sugar, right? And so sugar in the form of like candy is my mental weakness trigger, will spiral me down. So I choose not to have it 99.9% of the time. Make sense? Except for, y'all know I have a thing with Cadbury eggs, but I do control it. So that's my point. So the biggest takeaway with this is, if ripping off the Band-Aid does not work for you, don't feel shamed. Don't feel guilty. Don't feel like you're like something's wrong with you. You are more likely in alignment with the majority of people trying to make this kind of transformation, is that it works best to focus on the one thing that you can change this week that will give you the greatest impact, and think about food or some sort of treat or sugar or something that you know that doesn't align with your goals as something you're going to defer to the day you've established. by doing that, you get control. It builds your confidence and self-awareness that you are in fact in control. You can choose these choices. And then, like I said, by the time you get to that Saturday, you may or may not want to. I know that when I first started out, I'd have like a huge list of things that I thought I was going to eat on Saturday. And I, when I first started out, maybe I ended up with 2 or 3 of those things on a Saturday. And then it got to, 2 things. And then it got to, 1 thing, or whatever the case may be. So again, it takes consistency over time. It takes practice. It's a muscle that you can build just like anything else, right? But it becomes the mental aspect of getting fit is the hardest weight that you will lift. It is also the weight that will be the most impactful for you to do to truly change your life. And then by doing so, change the life of those around you. Because when you're different and you're your best, then you can give your best. All right. Talk soon, guys. Like, comment below, or just ask any questions if you need anything. Bye.